I'm excited to share these recipes with you today. I'm getting ready to go on a trip with my family. I am married and we have 2 kids, a 2 and 4-year-old, and we're really excited to do this. It's like a 2-day trip. So I have dough made. I'm gonna make pizza rolls. I did make them in a previous video, so I'll definitely link that below. We love this recipe, but I just use homemade pizza dough and fill it with pizza toppings and roll it with like a cinnamon roll and just kind of cut it up. But I'll link that video below so you can check that out. I also have butter out and I'm softening that. I'll probably have to microwave this just to get it even softer. I'll probably just melt it, to be honest, even though I know you're not supposed to, but this is currently frozen. So I'm gonna leave that out and I'm gonna get started on 2 recipes. And I also thought I would show you what I'm going to bring for snacks for the trip. We just went to Trader Joe's this morning and I thought I would show you that as well. So let's go ahead and start making these recipes. The first recipe I'm gonna make are some baked Hawaiian roll sandwiches. You may have seen recipes similar to this before, but basically I'm gonna just use some store-bought Hawaiian rolls. So I have these pretzel slider buns. I don't know if you've seen this before. I saw these for the first time at my parents'. They had us over for a dinner and they used these. They were so good. So you can only get them in packs of 9. So I got that, and then I also got like a giant 24 pack party pack of the original Hawaiian sweet rolls. First I want to go ahead and cut these, and these are conveniently already cut, so that's really nice. The regular ones aren't usually cut, so I just like to just kind of cut them all at once, and I'm just going to cut them in this. I've actually seen someone on Instagram just bake them in this cardboard, like directly, not on a sheet tray, but I'm a little too nervous to try that. But if you have tried it and it worked, let me know. I would be interested if, you know, it does actually work more than for just the one person I saw do it on Instagram. You can definitely use whatever sort of toppings you want. I even debated for a minute to do peanut butter and jelly on them, just because I think my kids love peanut butter and jelly. But I think that might just be a little bit too weird. I don't know. I feel like it could be good. Like, I don't know, grilled cheese is good. So maybe like a grilled peanut butter and jelly. I was gonna use both of these trays, but I might actually just be able to use the one. And I'm gonna line it with some parchment paper, just for easy cleanup. Okay, and I'll put this one away. I don't think I'll need it. And then I'm just gonna save the tops for once we have the fillings in there. And I'll do the same thing with the pretzel ones. So I'll just lay it down. I feel like this sort of recipe with like the baked Hawaiian roll sandwiches is really good if you're having a party, if you're doing something make ahead. I mean, we're gonna travel with this. We have a fridge in our hotel, so I feel like this would be a really good thing to use just because it makes a lot of food and you could just do it all at once. So I got 1.25 pounds of deli corned beef. I've seen people use ham. I've done pizza once before where I just put marinara and cheese on there, and that's really good. But this time I just felt like corned beef. So I'll just kind of lay it on there, and then we'll just cut the sandwiches once they're baked, and then I'll see how many pieces I need. I could freeze this deli meat if we don't use all of it for this recipe. And I already have my oven on to 350, so that's already preheated. And that way I can just go ahead and put these in the oven, and then we're gonna get started on our next recipe, which I'm gonna make a dessert. I found a recipe for like honey bars. It's kind of like Blondie's, I think, but you use honey, and I thought that sounded really tasty. So I'm gonna do that. I think it'll be nice to have kind of a dessert on the trip. We are planning on going out to eat, but we're also just planning on eating like breakfast and lunch at the hotel. There's free breakfast, and then we'll have these sandwiches plus the pizza rolls for lunches, and then we'll go out, or maybe dinner, and then we'll go out for one meal just because we have young kids, and I think that'll work out really well. I think I'll do one more layer of the corned beef, but I think a dessert will be really nice to have, even just like for a snack or just if we want something at the end of the day. And then I just got sharp cheddar. Use any cheese you'd like. I do feel like a ham is supposed to be really good. I've made like kind of like burgers, sort of a makeshift burger on here where I've used just ground beef and some cheese and kind of just put it all on top and cut it up. That was really tasty. The pizza rolls were really good. We put pepperoni in some of them, and so really versatile. And then I have these spicy jalapenos. These are pretty spicy, so I'm definitely only gonna put them on half. And if you want, you could put like a melted herb butter on top, or just plain butter, or just herbs or anything like that. I've seen people do cheese on top, but I am not gonna put anything on top. I just wanna keep it plain. So that's it. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and top it with the tops of the rolls. And the top of the pretzel ones. And I'm gonna make these at 350. I think I'll start maybe for 12 minutes and I'll see how they look. I do think if I put butter on the top, they would brown even better, but I just think they'll store better this way since we are bringing them for our travels. So I'm gonna go ahead and bake these now. Next, I'm gonna get started on the honey bars. So I just have a stick of butter. Like I said, you should soften it, but I found that I still really like cookies and baked goods with melted butter versus softened. I do need to look up and find out what happens when you use one versus the other. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get this melted in the microwave. This is nice and melted. Next, we're gonna put in honey. And I just have this drying container. I'm actually gonna try something I've never done before, but I'm gonna try to kind of put a little bit of butter on this to kind of grease it. And I'm just gonna kind of roll this around. And I just don't want the honey to stick a lot on there because I don't wanna miss the honey from the recipe. So that looks good. I actually forgot a spoon to get the honey out, so I'm gonna go get that. We'll test it out to see how it comes off. So I've seen people do this where it should just come off if they like spray oil on it or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to replicate. It is coming off really clean from the actual measuring cup, so it probably worked a little bit. It probably helped a little bit, I think, just because it's coming off clean from the measuring cup. So we've got the honey in there, and then we're gonna get the brown sugar in there. That's going in. Need to refill this. I always try, and whenever I use something up, I just replace it right away, so that way I never run out. I always kind of have an extra one that's for baking goods, so like sugar, brown sugar, chocolate chips, flour, anything like that. Just because I feel like it's super easy just to finish it, and then you don't bake again for a couple of weeks or a month or however long, and then you realize you don't have it. It's really nice just to have that automatically. Now we're just gonna mix this up until it's combined. And I don't have to use a mixer or anything. That's what the recipe says. So I'm just gonna stir it. So just making some pretty simple recipes over here, but I am really excited about those sandwiches. I think they'll be really nice for our trip. Again, they're really nice for parties. They'd be great for like a picnic, a beach day, anything where you wanna make something ahead that will serve your family or serve, you know, a group of people. I think that's a great idea. Or even if you just wanna make it to prep for the week. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. So we're gonna have it probably a couple of days while we're traveling, and probably also tomorrow for lunch. We're not leaving for 2 days. I think that looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. And then we're just gonna add some vanilla and our egg next. So I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I've always wanted to make homemade vanilla. I think that's on my list to do this year. I might give it out for Christmas. I think that'd be a really great Christmas gift. Just some nice homemade vanilla. So if I do that, I'll probably include that in a video in the future, but I actually have to get rolling on that fairly soon if I want it to be ready around Christmas time, because I think it takes about 6 months for the vanilla to be ready to actually eat. And before we finish that, I just took our sandwiches out of the oven, so I'm gonna let them cool for a little while before I cut them. But they look really good. I almost forgot about them because I turned the timer off on Alexa and I forgot to take them out of the oven because I was in the middle of something. But here they are. They look really, really good. And I'm just gonna leave the oven on because the cookie bars actually cook at the same temperature that I cooked the sandwiches at. So now we're gonna give this a stir. I'm just using regular chocolate chips, but I think like butterscotch chocolate chips would be really good in here, or anything you want to put in here. Toffee bits would be good. I'm gonna add in some salt next. I'm gonna do half a teaspoon. I think I'll do a pretty heaping half teaspoon. And then we also want 1 1/4 cups of flour. And then we have a new bag of chocolate chips. So I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna do a cup of chocolate chips, which does seem like a lot of chocolate chips for not a lot of batter, but we'll go with it. Can't hurt, it'll probably just be extra good, extra chocolatey. So we'll give this a nice stir, and I don't want to overmix this. And I'm gonna get out a 9x9 pan if I have one. This is nice. I love making cookies. I made snickerdoodles a couple of weeks ago when we had some family over. I made chocolate chip cookies a couple weeks before that when we had some friends come over for dinner, and I love making cookies. So I think this is a nice recipe because it's like making cookies, but honey is a different ingredient that I don't normally see in it, and I don't have to make the balls of the cookies. It's just one pan, which should save some time, so that's really nice. It does seem pretty wet compared to cookies, and I'm not gonna refrigerate it or anything, which is what I would normally do before I make cookies, so you get kind of some height to the cookies. I think that looks really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my pan now. I'll set this aside. Whenever I don't have spray oil, I just like to use butter, and I find that it works just as well. It's maybe a tad more work because you have to, you know, do more than just spray oil, but it works well. It doesn't cause anything to stick. It works really well for that. So I'm just gonna kind of use my hands and get the whole thing nice and buttered up so nothing sticks. I could only find an 8x8 pan, so that's what I'm using, and I'll just make sure it's fully cooked when I take it out. Batter in, and then I'll just smooth out the top once we have it all in there as well. Okay, let's just get it kind of smoothed out. And this bakes for 30 minutes, so, well, maybe a couple minutes more since I'm using a smaller dish. My sister actually made a super good chocolate chip cookie cake. I think it was basically something like this, like bars, but she cut it in triangles. That was so good. She gave me the recipe for that, but I have not made it since she did, and she put icing on the top. She makes really delicious icing. She's a great baker. My older daughter just turned 4, and my sister made cake. She came over yesterday, and yesterday was Mother's Day, so we celebrated Mother's Day, and then we celebrated my daughter's birthday, and she brought over like whipped cream and a strawberry compote and homemade icing and like a second homemade icing that had strawberry flavor, and decorated a cake for my daughter. It was just such a nice time. It was such a nice cake. I want to jump in and add a note about these bars. We loved them, but the texture wasn't kind of light and fluffy like you'd expect a cake or even cookies. So if you want a fluffier texture, you know, add like baking soda, baking powder. They're more dense and gooey, I would say. So I'm gonna go ahead and bake this in the oven for 30 minutes, give or take a few minutes. I'll let you know if I have to add some time. And before we get finished over here, I'm gonna take off, hopefully this will work out. I'm gonna take my sandwiches off because I wanna go ahead and slice them. So the top's a little bit crispy. You can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but the cheese kind of melted, and this will be really good. So let's just go ahead and cut them up. Okay, so I will show you this roll of rolls. Okay, so there it is. It looks great. You can see the cheese melted, the corned beef is nice and warm. I mean, of course, this would be great if you eat it right now, but I am going to save it for tomorrow and for our trip. So I can see the jalapenos are on this side. I'll try a bite just so that we can see how it is. It's delicious. I love the jalapeno in there, but it definitely adds some heat. So if you don't like that, just leave it out. But it's so good. I love the corned beef and cheddar with the jalapeno. I'd love it without the jalapeno as well. But it's a great combination and such an easy recipe, and it just makes so many sandwiches. So I finished cutting all of these, so I'm gonna get these put away. I'll probably just put them in a gallon Ziploc bag just because we are gonna bring them on our trip and I don't want to do dishes, but it'd be great in a like glass Pyrex dish or something like that, and then we'll get started on cutting the pretzel ones. Here are those pretzel ones. These also look really beautiful. These cut actually easier than the other ones, I would say. Looks so great. They smell like pretzels, like soft pretzels that you get, and I love the big pretzel salt on top too. That looks so good. Also, here's just a corned beef and cheese one. There is no jalapenos on this one. I have 2 big bags from Trader Joe's. I think my 2-year-old's starting to wake up, so I do have to be pretty quick. But I just thought it would be fun to show you all the snacks that we got. They're not super healthy, but I didn't get anything frozen just because we don't have a freezer there. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you everything, and then I'll show you the honey bars when they come out of the oven. Let's try showing it to you like this. I've never done a haul like this before. Hopefully it'll work and I won't be too far away. I'm a little bit worried about that, but we got some veggie sticks. I think this would be great for my kids to have for snacks. I think they'll really enjoy them. And then I saw these. I've never seen these before. These are mini stroopwafels. I love stroopwafels. I love that caramel on the inside of that cookie. And they're mini. The serving size is 4 for 140 calories. So not sure how small those are. But my kids love these. I don't give them to them too often, but they're a great treat and I love them as well. My favorite candy are those like gummy fruit candies that are like in the shape of a slice of fruit, like a slice of watermelon or something. They have watermelon, orange, grapefruit, all these different flavors. But my kids love olives. I thought olives would be great to bring on the trip. Like they're great. They're shelf stable. I saw these mini cheese sandwich crackers. I thought that sounded like a fun snack for them. And then I also got the peanut butter ones. I thought that would be good as well. And my 2-year-old was allergic to peanut butter, or she was allergic to peanut, but she got tested a couple of times, did the food test, allergy, like blood tests and all of that stuff. And now she's not, but she still has to have peanut pretty often. So I thought those would be tasty. I've never tried those before. And then I don't normally buy these. We just buy a jar of applesauce, or I make applesauce every once in a while, especially, you know, in the fall when apples are in season. But so I got 2 of these applesauce pouches. They don't have to be stored in the refrigerator. I thought that would be perfect. Another can of olives. I mean, they love olives. I'm gonna try to remember to bring bags so that we can put the extras in there, but they do have the tab open, which is perfect. Peanut butter, I just bought that and I didn't put that away yet. We love this peanut butter. It's the organic Valencia creamy peanut butter that is salted. Moving on to my second bag. I love these like chips. If you've never tried them before, they are really good. They're the sour cream and onion, lentil and rice snack rings. I love them. I think they're so tasty. I've seen people use them on top of salads on Instagram, so you can give it a try if you're interested. This also is not for a trip, but I bought this cold brew black tea and lemon iced tea. I've heard it's really good, and I think, I think it's 18 tea bags, and you just put it in cold water. I think it says use 1 or 2 tea bags for each 8 ounces of water, and pour cold water over the tea bag and steep for 5 minutes. I mean, that sounds great to me. It does have natural flavors, and it's made with black tea. Got a couple of cheese sticks. We love these light string cheese, and since we're gonna have a fridge, I figured, you know, why not? Can't hurt. I got a couple of duplicates. I got another one of those. I'll probably bring 2 of those and just 1 of the fruit jellies. We wouldn't go through 2 in just a couple of days. And then I got these sea salt butterscotch caramels that are covered in chocolate. My husband loves these. They're actually really, really good too. They're just like little balls of chocolate covered caramel. And then I got some of these bottles of sparkling water. I got a few of those. And that's everything. I'm gonna bring most of this for the car, for snacks while we're there, for sides with if we're having lunch or dinner at the hotel. And breakfast is provided, and we'll go out probably for 1 meal each day. I'm gonna be bringing the honey bars. I'm gonna be bringing the sandwiches I just made, as well as pizza rolls and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So that way, you know, we don't have to eat it all. We can eat some of it. but we'll have food if we don't want to go out to eat. This is our first trip without other family. We go to like a family trip every year to the same place, but our first trip in 4 years since we had our oldest, so we're really excited about this, but I'm not sure exactly how to navigate it, how it will go. So yeah, these are all the groceries, and I'm gonna go ahead and put them back in the bags. I just took these out of the oven. I just did 30 minutes. I mean, they do look really good. So we'll go ahead and cut them up once they cool, and I'll give it a try. And here's everything I cooked up for the trip and stuff for the day before, so I don't have to do a lot of cooking then. But I'll go ahead and cut up these bars. You can see what they look like. We did really enjoy them. I think if I made them again, I would probably add baking soda, baking powder for a bit fluffier texture. Here are the pizza rolls. I have included these in a previous video, so I'll link them below. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. See you next time.